Darlings, I am your host, Functional. With me, as always, my enigmatic, magnanimous, incorrigible co-host, JenTMaxi. Jen, say hello. Feel the fury.
How you guys doing? It's just talking about food.
You guys? I'm more than one guys?
Well, we had a third person. I mean, I might have roared them off. I mean, it was kind of the most unscary roar ever, but, you know.
Yeah, I wasn't scared. Not really.
Not really?
Nah. So how have you been?
I've been very good. I had a cap done on my tooth, and I'm getting used to having metal in my mouth. So at first I was worried about the heat and the cold, and it's a very weird feeling. It doesn't hurt. It's just weird.
Can you pick up any good radio stations?
Not yet. Nope. Not hearing anything yet. Nope. I was wondering about
CIA messages? Nothing like that?
Nothing like that. Nope.
Damn.
But the one good thing is my tongue is now permanently distracted by this thing in my mouth because it's too smooth to be a tooth.
Yeah, you get used to it after a while.
I figured eventually. It's just weird to actually have my mouth function fully too. Like I've been avoiding that side of my face for like ages in terms of eating. Not to say that you don't, because it does when you're eating. It just you do switch sides, but it's always been in the back of my mind to not do that. So now it's like, oh, free for all.
Yeah, I just had one done, and it was just a little bit off, so that one day I was eating and I bit down probably a little too hard, and the shock of like it not fitting perfectly kind of like startled me for a moment, and I was like, that should have hurt, but it didn't really hurt, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
They always suck. I notice you've been playing a lot of Stardew Valley. I hear there's a wonderful new patch out.
There was a huge patch out. So the one thing that I haven't explored yet, I'm kind of waiting until I've done the full year. Like I'm just gonna get the community center and all that stuff that everybody's already seen before done. And then I'm gonna start off the new year, and I think I might open that up to everybody. So I'm gonna figure out some space on my farm because it is the bigger. It's the new map, and it's huge. So like you legit have enough room for everybody to come in. It's just a decision on what.
Can you build a harem?
I could build a harem. I think it's I'm allowed to.
Ooh.
I think it's up to 4 to 5 people.
What about enslaving people? Can we enslave people and make them work on the farm?
Well, I used to do that to random. So, I mean, I would give him treats sometimes, but you know, like, I mean, I filled his whole house with bears, like bear statues. So the only space he had in his whole place was to like run from his door to his bed.
You see these bears, motherfucker? You see what I did to these fucking bears, motherfucker? This is gonna be you in the future if you don't fucking listen.
But so like basically all the characters now have more rooms in the house. So like there's a part to Pierre's house. There's more room there. There's more to the desert, so like there's a traveling merchant there that you can trade other goods with for different outfits. You can make clothing now, so you can change your outfit. It was amazing because like my first stream with it, like I was just running around and you know people were watching and I realized there's a muscle shirt. So my character is kind of like this nerdy little cute character.
Hey, Kyler, thanks for stopping by.
And all of a sudden, hi Kyler. All of a sudden, I realized there's a
Kyler,
muscle shirt.
Killer.
So I put this muscle shirt on my character. She's just running around. It looks like she's all buff and shaded in certain areas, and she's like Superman.
She's like your very own Sigourney Weaver.
It's just amazing. It was amazing. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun re-exploring it. So like I said, at some point, I am going to open that up for other people to join if they want to. And make that a thing of exploration for everybody. But just so you know, just because you join my game doesn't mean I won't drop a mega bomb in your house. So the trick to that one is if you see someone drop it, just leave as soon as possible. Because if nobody's in the room, they won't go off.
Oh. Well, I guess that can lead us into our first story. It was feces. So are there any
Woo!
feces bombs in Stardew Valley? Can you just drop a feces bomb in somebody's house?
No, no, but there are mega bombs, and I mean, you do use coal and copper, so I guess it's kind of like.
So virtual life really is better than real life. Because, yeah, here in Toronto, a 23-year-old man was arrested and charged over 3 poop attacks in 4 days. And this young gentleman, Mr. Samuel Opoku, I'm just going to leave it. Was finally arrested and charged with 5 counts of assault with a weapon and 5 counts of mischief, interfere with property. Yeah, he's going to be going to court, and he's probably going to go away for a while. Because not only were these poop attacks, but they seem to be singularly targeting members of the Asian community. And of course, here in Canada, with all the touchy-feely, blah, 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 blah stuff. Yeah, this guy might be going away for a little bit longer.
Ooh. Well, he kind of deserves it, though. Sorry, but like.
Yeah, I mean, the big question now is, was it in fact human feces, or was it some form of animal feces? I'm just going to go ahead and just take a stab in the dark and say it was his own feces.
Yeah, if it's only like been 3 attacks, I would say so, because I'm sure you could find more dog crap than you could human feces.
Well, that dog crap tends to dry up pretty quick, so you got to be fast.
Yeah.
But this has been happening all week, and like the description says, it's been a weird fucking week in Canada, and this is only the tip of the iceberg, people. But if you can look at the picture, this guy, Mr. Opoku, he's wearing such a shit-eating grin. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry, I had to facepalm my own joke. Yeah, he's just all smiles as he's taking this bucket and, you know, wearing construction clothing to go through the university and like attack people with feces. I know you guys have your problems out in Alberta, Jen, but see, just look at Police Constable Victor Kwong here. He looks mortified.
Yeah, I would be too.
Look at those sad eyes. I just want to give him a hug. Like the kinds of things that he has to deal with. People flinging shit at other people. Thank you for your service, Officer Kwong. Thoughts, reflections? Or if I come out the gate too strong and you're just a little stunned?
Well, I'm just glad that they're being honest about the perpetrator's color, because everyone would have assumed it was a white dude doing it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it all started because there was, you know, readily available video, and they shared the pictures around. And actually, in that interview, in the video, the reporter is basically like, why haven't you guys caught him? You've been circulating the pictures for days now. Why haven't you guys caught him? It's like, come on. This is police work. It's going to take a few minutes to, you know, like track somebody down. And, you know, the officer handled it well. He's like, well, you know, they're not the clearest pictures. People might think that it's, and he almost slipped up here. And he said, you know, might think that it might be someone that they know, but look like someone that they know, but not be someone that they know. Sort of like, yeah, they don't want to like point fingers unjustly, especially when it's I mean, by all accounts, I mean, it seems like it's going to be classified as a hate crime because it was against specifically Asian students at the university. And it is one of those things where you're just sort of, you're glad it didn't happen to you. You're kind of going, what the fuck is wrong with people? And you're also like, okay, good, he's caught, so I can go back out in the world again. You still with me?
I'm here. It just takes me that long to drag on my pipe. Yeah, it's all I can do when I hear stories like that. It's just like, you know what?
So on the last show, we covered this gentleman, the Robin Hood of McNuggets. The man, for the few years he was working at McDonald's, gave out a few extra nuggets in the packs. And he actually got a shout out from Tom Hanks. So good on you, Mr. Cody Bondarchuk.
Sharing that, though?
Am I sharing what?
Oh, I wasn't sure if you were supposed to be sharing it because you're not sharing it with the stream. Oh, it is. Okay. It's just
it is.
Slow.
It's up. Caligula.
If you want a link, because I can share a link.
Copying the link. Going to put it in private chat. You can give him that link.
CC.
Caligula, you missed the poop. You missed the feces. It's mortified.
It's a poop stream.
But yeah, Mr. Cody over here got a shout out back from Tom Hanks. Don't know what he said. I thought I had the tweet here. Nope. Oh well. It's not like we're professional or anything, but he at least replied, "This is truly the greatest moment of my life."
It's what's about inside those chocolates, Elvin, don't you know?
I mean, I guess like when you're just, a little prankster on the internet and somebody of that renown notices you on Twitter, it's kind of cool. I can see that. I just thought that was yeah, go ahead. I thought that was a cute little follow-up to our cute little story. Know Nothing story. Is cool.
Our cute little Christmas Pooh story, but it wasn't about a hanky. All right. Shared and shared.
Oh, we're not going to get into the climate change just yet.
Oh, no, pooped it up.
I don't see any share. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Jen's being a boomer.
Am I being a boomer? I'm not meaning to be a boomer.
Oh shit! I'm just
distracted by Sora and Rebel on Discord because I keep thinking maybe it's Magic asking me something, and so I'm checking, and it's like, no, they're talking about a puppy, and I'm like, why did
some friends they are not even watching your own show?
Maybe you know what? Maybe I'll just dump it right in front of them. Just be like, screw you guys, come watch our show.
Just like a bucket full of poop.
Isn't that what?
We shall rename you Poo Poo. Devices not connected. There he is, the man of the hour.
Fight the power.
How are you, my friend?
I'm okay. How about you?
I'm a little weirded out. Apparently this week, a man by the name of Samuel Poo Poo was throwing shit at people in my city.
Nice.
Yeah, and they finally caught him.
Was he an Indian?
No, he seemed to be of African descent. I'm pretty sure he's either on a student visa or something like that, or maybe a new immigrant. I don't know, but yeah, that was kind of a thing, apparently. Since Jen's not going to share her screen, I'm just going to go ahead and share mine. Ha! So, in Winnipeg, some brass balls motherfucker stole a fire truck.
Oh.
And for those that don't know, driving a fire truck requires a certain set of skills that not even Liam Neeson has. These are specially trained people to drive a specially manufactured vehicle And he was swerving all over the place, as you can see in the picture there. There's quite a bit of damage on the corner of it. There's pretty sturdy vehicles, so he must have hit something really fucking hard. Sarah!
Hi, Sarah!
We haven't gotten to the moose yet, and that was a narwhal or a moowal.
All we know is that he tastes delicious on a plate with carrots and potatoes.
But the guy didn't decide to drive the fire truck down, streets or anything. He decided to drive it through a downtown Winnipeg park with more than a dozen police vehicles chasing it. I wish we had video because this would have been the most amazing thing ever. It was sighted around, and he, eventually was driving on some streets, but then eventually ended up in the Central Park area, and was just driving around being chased by these cruisers. And oh no, I thought we had it, but we didn't. Oh, there we do. Somebody's Twitter video. The fire truck just sort of coasting along. Yeah. Still doesn't beat us in the poop thing. So that's Ontario 1, Quebec not on the board yet, and Manitoba 0. Sorry, Jen. I count
Manitoba. Why would you say
same shit, different pile?
Very different pile. Very, very, very different.
It's all flat.
I don't have a capital city that's often referred to as Murder Peg. So.
Well, I mean, when there's that many murders going on, you need your own emergency services, and you just got to take the bull by the reins, bull by the horns, or in this case, the fire truck by the wheel, and just fucking gun it and go save some lives. Now I want to roast a gnarl moose.
I know, right? Like barbecue sauce.
And if you don't have any stories, I'm going to bring up the next one, because I think we're just going to get into it and start getting angry people, because it's just unacceptable. The youth are suing Ontario government over climate change. Oh my God. Can we just...
Does the irony hit them at all that they're really just suing themselves? Because the government would still have to pay them with tax dollars, which they would still have to pay into.
Well, most of these people, I mean, he probably pays taxes. Yeah, the people in the back, they're probably old enough to pay taxes. But these young people up front, they don't really look like they're old enough to pay taxes. So they're really just suing their parents.
Mm-hmm. But themselves in the
future. So this group says their rights and freedoms are being violated. How about you go shut the fuck up? Sophia Mather is taking her climate fight to the next level. The 12-year-old from Sudbury, well, another 12-year-old, guys. Let's all bend over and listen to the 12-year-old who knows more than everybody else. She was recognized earlier this year for being the first Canadian kid to skip school and strike for the climate. Is challenging the Ontario government to do more. She's part of a group of young people who are suing Premier Doug Ford's government for not going far enough to fight climate change. Doug Ford is not doing enough to protect our future, and it's just unacceptable, Sophia said. Oh, Sophia, you sweet, sweet, sweet summer child. Go to school. Learn some basic fundamentals. Learn some interpersonal skills. Get out into the world. Learn. There's the internet. We have the culmination of all human information and misinformation at your fingertips. Start weeding through it and learn. If this story sounds familiar, you're not wrong. Last month, a group of Canadians announced they were suing the federal government for the same thing. And in the U.S., 21 stunning and brave Americans are taking a similar approach. Yeah, fuck these kids.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Thunberg. Fuck them all. Like, not literally, because that would be pedophilia, but just fucking throw them off the side of a ship. I don't fucking care. I really don't fucking care. Just yeet them from fucking society. I'm so fucking sick of these
Entitled, whiny, spoiled brats. Yes.
who
Get a job.
because they don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't. I mean, I always read all this stuff. I try not to engage too much on social media because everyone's stupid and everyone acts like a fucking savage on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter and whatever. Gab, I've completely thrown out the window. So I'm pretty much on YouTube and Facebook. Facebook to keep in touch with like family, but I still read articles.
You're a bad bad.
I'm very bad.
I said mad. Going
Mad.
to Facebook for your use. You want Zuckerberg to
No,
shit
just
your
to see
pooper?
just to see articles that people are spreading because over here on Forbes found an interesting article on why apocalyptic claims about climate change are wrong. And you know who who are coming to the forefront and saying, no, you're all wrong, you're all idiots, shut the fuck up. To AOC, that adorable koala. I could
She's the
you know
mascot
what?
from the Indians. You know that
You know what? The
baseball team?
koala's right. The rest of them are fucking wrong, but the koala is right. Greta Thunberg, yeah, throw her off a fucking solar powered dinghy or something. And that other bitch at the end, who's some Canadian activist cunt, just fuck them.
Yeah.
So these are actual like actual scientists who deal about energy production, energy, how we understand it, the environment, how they relate, et cetera, et cetera. These are the actual scientists that the Bernie Sanders and the AOC are always like coming out and saying, you know, 9 out of 10 climate scientists, you're a fucking toothpaste commercial. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, pretty much.
9 out of 10 climate scientists? No, because the climate scientists are actually coming out and saying, shut the fuck up, you're wrong. There's no fucking extinction event coming from fucking climate change. And you're doing exactly what was covered in the first article, causing undue legal battles, causing untold amounts of wasted money, taxpayer money, on draining on the systems.
Well, it's not the first time.
No, of course not. And it won't be the last, but
we got a study recently about systemic racism in Canada. So how many millions have been into that for no fucking reason at all?
Yeah, I'm all for scientific research, and if it shows that there's nothing, then you know it's a dead issue, and it shouldn't be revitalized every 3 years and fucking refunded.
Refunded by who? So whether
no, I'm saying refunded, like funded additionally for like every 3 years, 4 years, they fund a study about, you know, racism or whatever, and it's like every time it comes back that there's no actual problems anywhere in Canada, really.
Well, if there are, it's because the study is skewed to begin with, to not take into account your level of language barrier, your level of, I don't know, cleanness, your level of everything. It's just, oh, you're racist because no, you don't want that apartment to be occupied by those people. So yeah, it's always some bullshit skewed BS like that.
Yeah, I mean the article basically goes on to say that these professionals, these climate, quote unquote climate scientists, there's no actual climate scientists. There's different fields. They're saying, yes, we do have environmental problems. Don't get us wrong. But these fucking apocalyptic doomsday cults, they're all full of shit. And most of these things about climate change itself, the shifting of climates, things getting warmer and colder, seasons shifting. These are all normal, recognizable weather patterns. We've even had a 99.7% decline in the death toll from natural disasters since it peaked in 1930s in North America. So, like, no, we're able to respond better. We're able to safeguard people better. We're able to build sturdier structures and predict when these things are going to happen and register when these things are going to happen. Yes, there's still going to be tragedies, but for the most part, we are infinitely more safer than we ever have been in less than a century. And but yeah, they say, you know, there are very, very real threats to the environment, like in certain areas, overconsumption of the natural resources, certain countries not doing crop rotation and killing their own soil, plastics in the water, and improper disposal from companies, from corporations that are tasked to and make millions, if not billions, off of their industry, but are taking shortcuts and actually contributing greatly to the pollution problem that we have.
It's not only that, but as soon as you have a title like climate scientist or some bullshit like that,
well, climate scientist isn't a title. It's basically a grouping that these hyper left crazy apocalyptic.
There's people that actually.
There's people that study the climate, sure.
No, but there's actual people that claim to be climate scientists, right? Like Michael.
I've never seen one.
Michael Mann is prominent in that. And to be honest, it's the same issue that we have with curing cancer. As why can you solve a problem where it's small, profitable, just to let it go and have nothing to solve the problem in itself? So you can go to less efficient ways, but have more profit at the end. And that's what the climate scientist does as a whole. They don't try to the company that incentivize those climate advocacy. They don't try to legit try to beat the market and have affordable electric cars. What they do is they finance themselves via the government with a false crisis.
Oh yeah, of course.
By saying, oh, if we don't do that, it's going to be bad. So give me money.
Yeah, remember, guys, 12 years. We only have 12 years.
Oh, no.
So yeah,
I know what I'm doing for the next 12 years.
It's the same process with the pharmaceutical industries. They don't want to solve any issues. They just want to be...
No, because there's more money in perpetuating them and constantly treating them. Yeah. Yep. So some interesting... And by interesting, I mean more complete fucking retards. From the Extinction Rebellion, Ottawa, climate activists to protest Black Friday shopping at Rideau Center. So what they did was this big dramatic die-in, quote unquote, in the in front of the food court in one of the malls in Ottawa.
I got you beat on that though. I got you beat on that article. I got 12 people who got glued their hand to the fucking store.
Well,
for Black Friday.
I think that these weren't the people that got glued.
Let me put the link in the side. There you go, boom.
But
Montreal won, Ottawa won, Manitoba still 0.
That's funny.
Oh my god. Elwin, I was gonna say, you know, if humanity's gonna end because of climate change in 12 years, I'm just gonna get like every fucking credit card I can and just max it out and not pay it. And if the world doesn't end, then I can just sue AOC for making me think I only had 12 years. Speaking of 12 people arrested for gluing hands to store windows for Black Friday protest. Dozens marched in Montreal's downtown shopping district, protesting against consumerism.
They could have just left them there. Why don't they just leave them there for a couple days? I mean, sure, you feed them, but like, you know.
Because we don't have smell-o-vision yet. If we had smell-o-vision, they probably would let them fester there for several hours and not be able to they'd be going on themselves or something.
Yeah.
And then as they're dissolving the glue, or the glue is dissolving itself and they're able to get free, they video it all with the smell-o-vision, and you can just see what rank piles of shit they are. It was a dozen minors were arrested during the protests against overconsumption on Black Friday in Montreal's busiest downtown shopping district. So people are the people behind these kids. These people are okay with weaponizing children.
Yep.
They're no better than the Pakistanis who put children in front of the front line in order for Mossad to bomb them. Yep.
They're no better than the fucking African child slave soldiers. They're no better than the fucking. Oh my god! It is disgusting. It is. See, and the slope slided so quickly because yes, we had things that people protested for and died for, but they were serious issues.
Name one.
Protesting Vietnam.
Nah. It was a power play between
No, they were peacefully protesting and they were gunned down.
What? I never heard of Vietnam protester getting shot and dying from it. What the fuck?
Regardless, people. I mean, those are at least college age students. These are like fucking under 18s. And it was such a slippery slope because first we had, the Greta and just the words were infecting people. But now they're weaponizing the words. Now they're actually weaponizing the children to get arrested, to cause property damage, to disrupt society for no good reason because other than they've been told that they should.
Well,
by other 12-year-olds.
Well, yeah, but it's been implemented. That's why I'm tired of the public school system as a whole. It's been implemented since I was in school. They were trying to do that shit. And we still had, back in the day, Catholic classes. So that's how long that shit has been going on.
I'd never had Catholic classes in Ontario. Unless you went to a Catholic school.
No, but it was generally like acceptance. It was not like taking as bravado. It's like, oh, that's a nice fable that Noah's going to an ark and shit. But never matter of fact, right? And yeah, it was still speech in my days. But it was the social justice thing was creeping in with moral courses. I think they reframed the name now. It's like ethical and religious shit or some bullshit like that. That type of course.
Mm.
And that's in secondary school and primary school we're talking about. And yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that London wins out against Toronto. I'm sure many people have already heard about this. There was a knife attack on London Bridge. We're going across the pond to England in the UK here.
Yeah.
And this motherfucker, oh my God, crazy stories coming out of this. Like he had a couple knives. One was actually duct taped to his hand so he couldn't drop it. My theory is that when you get tased, you spasm. So it can either go one way or the other. You can either, fling the knife out, or you would grip it so hard that you would have like almost a death grip on it. So I think it was obviously premeditated. It was worried that like if he got tased, he'd drop a weapon. So he'd always have one there. In case anybody didn't hear about it, he was wearing a fake explosives vest, stabbed several people Friday in London, killing 2 people the police are treating as a terrorist attack before being tackled by members of the public and then fatally shot by officers on London Bridge. Police said the attacker was Usman Khan, a 28-year-old who was released on probation last year after having served 6 years for terrorism offenses. So, thank you, London, for somebody who was charged for terrorism, locked up for 6 years, and when he served this measly 6 years, you didn't just kick his ass out of the fucking country. Strip him of his papers, kick him the fuck out. Metro Police Chief Cressida Dick, oh God, Brits, what are you doing to us? Said 2 stabbing victims had died and 3 injured people were being treated in hospitals after the attack, which just unfolded yards from the site of a deadly 2017 van and knife rampage. I'm sure that people still remember that one. Lots of memes going over there. Boy, you got a license for that truck, mate.
Well, they at some point somebody run over somebody else with a moped, and those fuckers tried to batten mopeds afterwards. Like, what the fuck are you up to? Britain is truly the worst in terms of like the West falling. The UK is definitely the worst of all. Don't care what anybody says, but getting arrested for having a dog sig heiling or having having a.
But I mean, as hard as it is to get anything done in our fucking countries, at least I know that Boris Johnson, their prime minister, is a more tough on crime, especially violent crime, type of PM. So hopefully their upcoming elections go favorably for their Tory party, and they're allowed to start nipping some of this shit in the bud, because it's getting fucking ridiculous. Sadiq Khan should be fucking drawn and quartered already. He should at the very least have the grace to fucking resign for failing so miserably. You end stop and frisk, and oh my God, knife attacks skyrocket. So you fucking confiscate spoons and screwdrivers and anything that might be construed as a knife. You're fucking mad.
Exactly.
You're ruining what was like. Yes, you've historically had your problems in the UK, but and in London specifically, but the quote unquote right side always won. The side of law and order. Yes, there are problems to that law and order, but at least there's some semblance of hope.
It's falling quickly.
It really is
a problem.
It really is.
They're gonna adopt the social credit system soon.
And just because they almost already are, kind of. We all kind of are if any of us use Google services. We're obviously broadcasting on the YouTubes. Yes, thank you, Kyler. It was the University of Ohio. There were protesters, peaceful hippie protesters, National Guard. It was a big mistake, but unfortunately it happened. They shot a couple protesters. I don't remember if they killed them, but I know a couple people got shot. It was, but yeah. Anyway, well,
I'm always skeptical of all shit like that. It
was more of a jitters kind of thing. It wasn't really an order
to I don't know, second wave feminism left the slavery of the plantation that was the household, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, let's question that line of thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that the Vietnam War was useless for the most part, but it was a power play between the U.S. and Russia. That's all what it was to not have another country filled with communists, basically. It's like the same shit that happened with Pinochet in reverse.
So, while we're talking about our neighbors in Ohio,
would you like to be my neighbor?
Oh my God, I can't stop laughing. Ohio abortion bill would force doctors to re-implant ectopic pregnancies, which is impossible.
Yes. Good stuff. That's a troll law. I love it.
So, recently proposed anti-abortion bill in Ohio would require doctors to attempt to re-implant an ectopic pregnancy into the woman's uterus or face criminal charges for murder, despite the fact that it's medically impossible to re-implant the egg. Earlier this month, Republican lawmakers introduced House Bill 413 in the Ohio State Legislature, which would outlaw abortions in all circumstances, except in cases where the mother's life is at risk. I mean, you do this to yourself. The far left, the far right, you know, I know I've said this to you guys before. I'm, traditionally liberal. I believe in a lot of cases, an abortion, but there's certain, as birth control, no. As just cause, no. As oops, no. Sorry, it's still at a certain point you're taking a life, and that the view that brainwaves start at about 28 weeks, that's a good guideline. We should sit down with doctors and medical professionals and OBGYNs and discuss when these brainwaves fully develop and can be viewed, and maybe we can go from there and have a discussion. But the pendulum, my point is, the pendulum keeps swinging so far to the left. And in New York, with just abortions for everyone. Oh, you just had a baby? Great, abortions for you. Oh, you're 8.5 months pregnant? Abortions for you. 2 months pregnant? Abortion for you. Like, I mean,
it's all in reverse.
And then you get shit in Ohio like this, where it's just like, no abortions for anybody. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And it's just
it's the backward thing of thinking about abortion. It's because you get mothers that have watermelon babies, and for their entire life they're gonna be sustained by the government. On the other hand, you have like oops baby, which consists the majority of abortion and are still performed for no fucking good reason. It's like, oops, I forgot my medication, I'm pregnant. I'm not gonna give it to adoption. I'm just gonna get rid of it.
Yeah. And as Elwin points out, an ectopic pregnancy is fatal to the mother. According to the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, ectopic pregnancies must be treated with either medication or surgery to prevent the fallopian tube from rupturing, which can be life-threatening for the patient. So if apparently this anti-abortion bill is going to allow for abortions if it's going to impact the safety of the mother, and in the majority of ectopic pregnancies can kill the mother by rupturing the tube, then how does it work that you're going to reattach it? So you're going to solve the problem and then you're going to reattach it to reintroduce the problem, and then it's not even at that point it's not even viable to continue gestating.
I just think it's a scare tactic. So are making sure that women don't get abortion to begin with.
Probably, but I mean, the inmates are running the fucking asylum. Left, right, like they're the ones in government for some fucking reason, and they're fucking insane. You occasionally get ones that aren't that bad. Like, I feel that Trump is actually pretty good. If you took away all the bullshit, he'd be a very successful leader. The party would do well, because people seem to forget he's donated more to the Democratic Party than fucking Bernie Sanders has. He's a classical, like, New York business Democrat. I don't think he's a great person. We've talked about this before, Jen. We don't think he's like a good person. But as far as a leadership role, an outsider coming into the system to sort of shake shit up and make people wake up all over the world going, wow, your system is fucked up.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And the players you have involved more so.
No, I think it's a breeze of fresh air. It's just that.
Oh, he really
that
is.
Was Trump. That was Trump in the nutshell.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck your bravado. I'm not going in as a politician. I'm gonna shit on everybody. Jeb, you did. Your brother did 9/11.
Wrong. Wrong.
Hillary, you created ISIS.
That's fake news.
He didn't give two shit. And
no, he didn't. And that I mean, that was part of his populist persona, which yeah, sure. But also, if you're gunning for the top seat, then yeah, fucking talk down to the people who deserve to be talked down to. Like, think of the upcoming election. Put Camel Toe Harris in front of him on the national debate stage.
It's not gonna happen.
No, it's not gonna happen. But imagine if you would. He would fucking destroy her. He would bring up all the stuff that Tulsi did, and more, and there wouldn't be any shutting him down. He would destroy any of the potential candidates that I see coming to the forefront. You know, the Harris.
The only one that I might have a chance and will never get elected as Democratic president.
Bernie?
Runner? No, the runner. Bernie has some shit, has some dirt on him.
Oh, definitely. But
Andrew Yang is also a newcomer.
I agree with you, and I think that
this
is a good. I think. See, it's weird to decipher his strategy because when he does interviews, they tend to want to gravitate around basically the UBI thing. But he's got a 74-point platform that I think of those 74 points, probably about 75% are really good and that I personally agree with.
No, they are shit. They are all shit.
No, they're not.
In my opinion. But the point is he's the only one that doesn't have dirt on him. He's like the first.
Yeah, and I think that this is a ploy to get his name out there to people, have his name on their tongue, so that when the next cycle comes around, when he doesn't have to face Trump, he might actually have a better chance of winning it. And he's got a strong following. It's not a big following, but it's a strong following. I often see a lot of people tearing down a lot of his arguments, and again, it centers more around UBI, but there are a lot of things that I don't really agree with him on. I don't agree with him on things like part of his gun control shit nonsense. He wants to re-amend the Second Amendment, and I'm like, I'm not really cool with that. I actually kind of envy you guys because of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, especially right now, especially with our government being so fucked up,
and with as much shit that's going on. People getting stabbed, throwing fucking feces at them. In my city, we had a fucking sniper on top of the fucking train station, pegging off people, and eventually was talked down by police. But I want to be able to protect myself. I want to be able to know that there are armed people of the populace that if the police response time isn't going to be there, that you have. That hopefully, because of a result of that, you would have organizations like the NRA that do a lot of gun education and fund a lot of gun safety programs. And I have a lot of friends from the States who teach their children, who are preteens to teenagers, gun safety. Even if they don't want to use the gun, they will teach them the safety tips about how to navigate a gun.
Yeah.
Because what if they find a gun out on the side of the road?
I wonder what.
Don't touch it. No.
What's the angry Yang point that you agree on? Andrew Yang. Yeah.
He wants to have a lot of separate regulations on certain things. I know it's already illegal, but bump stock, high cap magazines. He wants to have a national registry.
No, I'm not talking about the gun restriction laws. I'm talking at what point do you agree with? You agree with personally with Andrew Yang?
I'd have to bring it all up, but having I'm drawing a blank. I really wasn't prepared to talk about Yang. I don't know. I honestly don't know how we got onto Yang.
No, but we were talking about the primaries and how nobody might have a chance against Trump. And the only guy that seems to have a chance is Andrew Yang, specifically because he doesn't have dirt previously tied to his name.
Yeah,
Bernie is easy to defeat. Bernie, you just said, last time you kowtowed to Hillary and you bought yourself a second house with your fucking money. That's easy to do.
Oh my God! I now I'm thinking about Yang, and I don't want to be.
Yang Gang. What a badly campaign tried to hijack fortune with the Yang Gang thing. It never worked. It's gonna always turn against you if you try to mobilize fortune for anything.
Yeah, you can't really. No, 4chan? No. What are you doing? You can't. Since we're on our global kick, some K-pop stars jailed for gang rape and spy cam crimes. Normally I wouldn't cover anything fucking K-pop, but and I don't really want to spend too much time on this, but yeah, good fucking riddance. I don't know who they are. I don't care. I just fucking hate K-pop.
That's funny. I mean, it's not, but it is.
Yeah. So some punk was filming some groupies and got in trouble for it, and he's probably gonna go to jail. Probably gonna.
Will.
And this Edmonton woman is allergic to cold temperatures. And I shit you not, I did the research on this. This is actually a very, very acute thing that happens to like almost nobody. But yeah, when they go out and when they're just exposed to anything cold, it can be a breeze, it can be the refrigerator or cold weather, they'll get rashes or hives and they'll just break out. And this poor girl, up until she was, I think, 13 or 14, just thought, like it was normal. And finally she gets checked out, and sure enough, yeah, she's allergic to the cold. It's just a shame. She lives in Edmonton, one of the
Now,
older...
what would be the obvious solution to this problem?
Move to Florida?
Yeah. Something like that. Now, what she's gonna do? Those are two different things. I'm pretty sure she wants to stay in Edmonton, right?
Oh, sorry. She's 18 and she was diagnosed when she was 16. So she's been living with this for the last 2 years. As you can see on the back of her hand here, give us a second for the thing to catch up. You can see that it's a pretty serious welt just from the back of her hand. She always carries an EpiPen, and obviously she just tries to keep herself warm all the time. And oh my god, if she's outside on a walk and she's alone and she falls, there's a high chance for my throat to swell up and I could actually stop breathing. So this can be a very serious thing, and that's really shitty for someone, especially somebody living in a northern climate like this, to have.
Yeah.
Like I said, what's the obvious answer to this? What's the obvious solution? And what's the way that is not going about? He's not going about
just constantly holding on to nice warm dicks.
That's a solution, but I won't suggest it. Might get other disease from that one. But moving to somewhere hot all year long. And will she do it? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, obviously don't know her situation, but if that would be an option, then yeah, that would definitely reduce her risk a lot.
Just start a
move down
to
Texas or something.
Just start a fundraiser or something. If you're listening to us, lady, start a fundraiser. You gotta make a lot of money.
Maybe we can get her to be our new co-host.
I don't
be a
know
neighbor?
about that.
She can be like Miss Antifreeze.
Oh.
Ba-dum. Yeah. Oh my god, that was bad. I'm sorry.
What a waste.
Just a little. I was going to judge.
What a waste. She seemed like a cutie. What a beauty.
Okay. Do we want...
Yes.
Asparagus.
I technically don't know what I'm saying yes to, but yes.
Since we're still on the fucketry of the world, the Canadian Senate to pay $1,500 in damages for English-only drinking fountains. This comes out of your province, Caligula.
Yeah.
The water fountains require thirsty users to push a metal button embossed with the word push. None of the fountains included the French word pussies. Actually, poussé. But yeah. Yeah, you're all a bunch of pussies.
Oh, nah.
You and your pussies. You don't need to have... Like, why do you even need to have a fucking word on it? Have some fucking braille on the button. And oh, there's our friend. There's our friend in the corner there. Sammy Upuku. Look at that grin. Look at how happy he is flinging his poop at everybody. But yeah, this is one of the many reasons why our just fuck Canada.
Yeah,
one of the reasons why I'm really fucking angry at our own country.
Yeah, I was thinking that picture of Parliament kind of does look like a giant penis, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, whatever happened to just writing a letter and saying to your ombudsman and just being like, well, you know, these should be bilingual. I'm sure they would have gotten changed, but no, they have to go fucking to the Human Rights Tribunal, waste all this fucking money, claim that they were damaged, and then also get paid out $1,500 when there's actual grievances that they handle. It's just people are taking far too much advantage of it. Fuck it. Fuck them.
I love it. It seems it promotes what Canada is really about.
Being fucked in the pooter?
Being a bunch of...
What do you think? What do you think, Jen? Is this Oh, that's
an adequate vision of Canada right there.
Fucked in the pooter? Yes, I know.
This
sorry,
degenerate-looking motherfucker over here is another case where he sued Air Canada for $12,000 in 2011 after Mr. Thibodeau accused the airline of failing to serve him in French during several flights he took.
There you go.
Go fuck yourself.
No, it's great. I love
fuck
it.
yourself. You point to the meal. Chicken? You nod or you shake your fucking head.
No.
Nah!
See that this way, okay? Air Canada is obviously found with public taxes. So you're just getting a little bit of your money back by doing that.
They got him and his wife were awarded a total of $21,000 for Air Canada.
Yeah, fuck Air Canada and fuck that guy.
No, not fuck Air Canada. Fuck the law that says, oh, it has to be in English and in French.
No, fuck Air Canada too. They're making fucking plane with my money. Make your plane with your own fucking money.
Yeah, okay, but in this case, they're not really guilty of anything other than being a fucking company.
Like I said, the guy just won a little bit of his taxes money back.
Fuck you, Nordstrom's. And your fucking
I'm just picturing the name of the hamster that we would have had if it had been our hamster. You know, like, Pebbles back in the day, the American one. It was like, I think ours would be called Poutine.
Poutine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Poutine.
Poutine the hamster, that got drowned.
I just don't want to live anymore. No, I'm just kidding. Living is what you got to do. Like, you got to use one of the only weapons we have, which is our voice, and try to get people to speak out against this type of shit and fucking fix these problems. Combat these lunatics and their retarded ideas. These aren't just bad ideas. These are just fucking retarded ideas.
It's never gonna stop. I hope you see that.
Oh, of course not. Life is a never-ending battle, my friend. But
life is a dude who wears my car movie. A lot of insane shit happening in your surrounding, and you don't even know about it.
Hey, Michael Weiner, thanks for popping by. Always appreciate it. Yeah, I just, it makes my head hurt knowing that it's a never-ending battle, but at the same time, like, you got to keep fighting in whatever small way you can as an individual. And, unfortunately, our reach isn't that great yet, but
the bilingual law came to apply because the FLQ, which was like a socialist Quebecois shit, killed 2 people. So it's not impossible that you can reverse that by the same process.
I mean, like I said, there was a time, if there was a grievance like that, you would just write your ombudsman and it would be solved. But you have people actively taking advantage of the Human Rights Tribunal and saying, "Oh, this violated my human rights because it wasn't in French." They just get fucked. Get fucked. So, Jen, I found something about in the National Post about the post-election mood from the prairies, by 7 prominent voices in politics, and just wanted to name some of these people and see if you knew who they were or if you've heard of them. Scotty, how you doing, mate?
Hi, Scotty.
So we got first Mr. Teddy Morton. He looks like a lobster with white pubes on his head. Former Minister of Finance and Energy in Alberta. Anything on him? No?
Nope.
Okay. Well, these are, by the way, these are all pro, like, Alberta people, pro, hey, let's cut the bullshit and let industry have its chance, let industry compete on the free market, and let's not strangle ourselves on the global market. So I don't know, Ted Morton, keep an eye out for him. Obviously, Jason Kenney, who wants to see his, I'm not the biggest fan of his as a person, we've both covered that, but he's at least, again, pro the oil sands and pro just letting the free market have its day in Canada and not strangling ourselves. Martha Hall Findlay.
That one, it's a lot of names that I like. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not, I just don't, I haven't followed them enough to know.
Okay. She's she's a former Liberal leadership candidate. She's head of Calgary-based Canada West. Sorry?
Yeah, she's the one who crossed the floor.
Yeah. And mostly because she's one of the people who was like, we can't keep ignoring the prairies like this, guys.
Yeah.
And she's been doing that since what? I think I want to say in 2015. Yeah, so it's fairly recently, but she crossed the floor, and yeah, she's just like, come on, we got to work together here. But what my side is doing is very closed off. So Brian Pallister, obviously the Premier of Manitoba. Brad Wall, former Premier of Saskatchewan. Also, long-time serving public figure. He too remembers the time in the 80s when, there was a strong separation sentiment in the prairies, and has been, also part of the fight to bring more voice and more attention to that part of Canada that has been sorely missing, really in my lifetime, which Stephen Buffalo. Mm-hmm. He's part of the Cree First Nation and head of the Alberta-based Indian Resource Council.
I wonder if he has connections to the newspaper too, because there's a paper out of there that goes by the Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if he has ties to that.
Maybe because he's part of the ruling the council, so he wants to see that using the Cree Indigenous people's lands, they'll get a fair cut, mm-hmm. and thus he's very pro Trans Mountain Pipeline. Yeah. So he's one of the sensible ones who's like, yes, we realize there are risks. We are willing to take those risks and discuss the risks, as well as discussing compensation, roles, responsibilities on both sides, and working to get this through. And also saying that, no, look at what the majority of the people protesting this are, when they're saying Indigenous people are protesting this. It's not us.
Yeah.
It's whitey. And by whitey, they mean people who aren't living on the reserves, who aren't living on Cree land. So that could also mean, brown folk, yellow folk. It could be other red folk. But this is people who are clinging to their tradition of how they want to live and living on their land, and sort of just fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
What I would say, and definitely trying to let his voice be heard to say, these protesters are bullshit.
Yeah.
They're plants. They're not what we feel on our land, which one of the biggest contentions is that, it's going to go through First Nations land and blah, blah, blah. Well, no, when you have prominent members such as Stephen Buffalo coming out and saying, we want this, your protests are bullshit.
He's not alone. Like there's been
definitely quite
a large cry, and it's been the most laughable thing. But the thing is like they're not ousting themselves. Like the natives are being really smart about it. They're not putting themselves out there like, hey, come target me. And I don't really. It's frustrating on our behalf, because it's one of those things where bringing up the Wexit again. It's one of those things that you're going to see in every thread that's like a storyline where they're kind of attacking the movement. And it's basically, look at the crowds. They're all old people. They're all old people. They're all old white people. So the thing is everybody out here is working. Like we're struggling pretty hard. Mm-hmm. So the last people you're going to be seeing going to these things are people who need to budget, because, they're not cheap to go to. And they're during work hours, like they're either evenings or they're during the weekends, so like nobody has time really to do that.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't want to. It's one of those common messages on my Discord and in other threads. It's especially the main Wexit, which is the one with Peter Downing. Uh-huh. He's a crook. Like I'm saying it here. He is a crook. I'm not saying that his message is wrong. Like some of his message isn't wrong, because he's basically taken some taglines from what's commonly being said. But he's getting a lot of money and not putting out anything. Right. And he hasn't talked to anybody other than his own crowd. So basically, unless you're pushing his message and his merchandise and you're pushing his ticket sales, he doesn't want anything to do with you. So like I said, he's a crook. And I would actually say like the Rebels done a pretty good job of calling him out. Like it's one of those things where like they're flattering when they do it, but like you can see from Ezreal's face that he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna direct you guys in another direction from this. And at least he leans towards the U.S., which is, I mean, like I said, it's not good to talk separatist, but at least he's directing them to talk to people who will be like, hey, calm down.
Yeah, yeah.
When he directs you towards the U.S., at least he's directing you towards someone who'll be like, hey, I don't know that this is in your best interest. Maybe you should rethink that, and maybe take the things that you've got here that it would be good to target your own. Mm-hmm.
That'll lead us to the last name in the next article. Rachel Notley, obviously the former Oh my God. She looks like an alien from Mars Attacks. Obviously the former Alberta premier. Basically, she's obviously fighting the NDP, but she says, like, you guys are fighting the wrong fights. Stop fighting stupid shit like the economy of Alberta and all the fight for things like positive policies that you guys want to instill, and specifically said to like Jagmeet Towelhead, like focus on things like pharmacare. Yes, you can still talk about the environment, but focus, like, do what your party is good at, and focusing on positive policies that you might be able to freaking enact. I lost the article.
Yeah, I think with her, she knows that she's got no place here anymore. At best, she could go to the rest of the party. So, like, if she's taking this appeal, like, she might win with them there. But I think she knows that any bridges that she had here are gone. That last stint that she had with Parliament was probably the last straw. Just because she was deliberately interrupting the Speaker of the House. She deliberately got herself removed from the House. She was put on a temporary ban for like 3 days. And it was one of those things where she had planned it out in advance. It had been taped. She had been caught planning out what she was going to do in advance. So she's got no footing here. So anything you see her do from here on out is her targeting Jagmeet Singh. I'm just saying. I'm not saying she's going to take his spot, because she couldn't. Even as a woman, I don't think she could, because she's not a minority figure. But she's going to wheel into his goods as much as possible, because if he's not
yeah, for sure.
Because he's not willing to talk to us at all. At all.
Yeah, and that I mean, love her or hate her, I mean, that's at least a good message that she's trying to like get across to the other side and say, stop just trying to block things. Maybe try fighting for some positive change for once. I mean, I know that kind of message really falls on deaf ears when these climate cultists actually believe the rhetoric they constantly espouse. Like, they say it so many times that they just believe it. I can't find it, but basically it was just the next article from Stephen LeDrew, basically just making a commentary on he's an awesome personality in Canada. Sometimes a little crazy, always a treat to watch. Just saying, like, quote unquote saving the environment, or combating industry as a whole isn't worth gutting the entire economy, because that's going to kill us a lot faster than fucking climate change is. And we already see the strains that it's putting on our system with how our quote unquote betters, our quote unquote representatives have been driving this bus. The country has deepening pockets of just poverty all over the place now, and problems with taxation, like not like monetary taxation, but over taxation of services. And again, taking advantage of things like the fucking Human Rights Tribunal and all these fucking social programs that like Caligula says, everybody wants their Gibbs. Gibbs.
It's on the federal level, a public service level. It's for public workers. It's for government agent. It's for everybody. It's for single mom. It's for families now. You can get a check if you have a kid.
Yeah.
Clue the influx of migrant.
And I mean, yeah. I mean, the baby bonus is what we call the child incentive credit or whatever. I don't know if it's different province to province, but it's to stimulate native-born Canadians' growth, because our birth rate is at a negative. So that's not working. So instead of just scrapping it or altering it in some way, we decide we're going to just keep shipping in people by the buttload into Canada via immigration and programs like temporary foreign workers.
Who use those baby check anyway? It's the migrant, most of them.
No, you'd be surprised. A lot of people do. It's basically just something you claim on your taxes, and it's basically refunded taxes for most people, or like a tax credit off of what they're normally paying.
Let me rephrase it. For whom it profit the most to have that program in place?
Well, of course, yeah. Of course, with less money, that's going to profit you more.
Not only that, but the regular workers are getting the dose for that too. They get on the paycheck. There's a certain percentage that goes into that.
And here's Mr. Ledrew. Sorry?
Okay, go ahead.
Here's Mr. Ledrew, our Canadian personality. As you can see, he's one of those bow tie guys. I don't think I could ever be a bow tie guy. My neck is too long, but I don't know. I could ask Elwin. I just don't think I could do bow ties. I don't think they're cool. He pulls it off because he's kind of got that turtle thing going, but
yeah, he's totally.
So the other day, yesterday, there were like quote unquote protests in places like Chile, where people were, and around the globe, where people were evading their fares on their public transport. And there was something caught on camera here in Toronto that a group of Jesus. I think they said it was like 20 something like teenaged kids just hopped the turnstile in one of the subway stations. There's no information on why they did it. People from the protests in Chile are claiming that they were doing it in solidarity. There was some sort of claim that there may have been a suspected fight and all the kids were just running away from it. But there hasn't been any information on what caused this group of kids to do it as of yet. But that also spurred, there were signs in Toronto saying, skip the fare, free transit now, or some bullshit again. More Gibbs. I mean, I guess in the face of what is actually going on with the Toronto Transit Commission, sure, do it. Because as it stands right now, just anybody under the age of 12 and under rides for free, whether or not your parents are multimillionaires or you're living in government housing. Your children don't pay. And again, that's just an undue strain on the TTC. So why not make it even more fair and just say everybody rides for free? Let's have everybody just have it completely publicly funded, and everybody will ride by paying their tax money, more tax money.
Nah, I'm tired of this line of thought.
Me fucking too. Me fucking too. Them instituting this bullshit about, like, if they wanted to subsidize people on disability, say, who don't have a choice, sure, but not children just cuz.
I mean, for me, I technically have the ability to get a low-income pass, but for me, it's more of an incentive to get me out because I need to get a job.
Yeah.
So for me,
they used to issue, as long as you were a part of like a work program and actively, reporting in and showing that you're doing the legwork and putting out resumes and everything, the Ontario Welfare would have funded you a Metro Pass, which is basically a prepaid pass, unlimited travel. Now what they do is they give you an unloaded, what's called Presto. We talked about it on the last show, the shit that doesn't work a tenth of the time. They just give you a card that you have to pay, put money on yourself and say, good luck. And they do that to people on disability as well now. I don't agree with it. But at the same time, it breaks my head. Like, why are you subsidizing people, corporations, anything? Why are you subsidizing anything that doesn't need it? You're just throwing money at a perceived problem. It's like fucking Homer Simpson's fucking makeup gun. You're just taking a gun and fucking shooting the solution all over the fucking face and wall.
It really makes it harder for people to learn how to budget when they do stuff like this. Like even to the point with your kids. Like, I mean, this is stuff that we were supposed to be taught growing up, at least from my end. And like things down to like bus passes, this is stuff that you need to know when you're growing up, And like people have such a hard time budgeting as it is. Like there was this thing that came out a while ago that Monkey covered in the US, and it was this couple of lawyers and how they would budget themselves. And you're like, so
oh yeah, I remember that.
You know, and they're living like they've got about $500,000 between the two of them every year, and yet somehow they can't make ends meet. And then you look at what they're spending their money on, and you're just like, so first of all, I could live off of like 40 grand of that. I could live off in a year and be comfortable. I mean, I might budget a little bit and be a little bit tight for some stuff. Like maybe I bring it up to 50 grand just to, you know, make me just like overall I'm comfortable. I don't need anything else. And everything else would go into my savings. Or like, you know, for my kids, you know, like savings for their school or programs that I want them to get into so that they don't end up like a loser or something like me. And then you see like all these government programs that pay for shit, and it's just like it's no wonder that these people grow up and they don't know how to budget, because they don't know how to set aside money for little things like you know, I need a little bus pass for my kids, and even if they need one, you know, because most kids, if you're lucky, you pick a school that's close to you. You know, I can understand maybe like giving them support for like, you know, kids who go to school from farm areas or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's
they generally have school buses.
Yeah,
I know. You know, in rural Ontario, where all the farms are, there's a school bus that'll go make its rounds. There's several school buses, you know, in certain areas. They'll go make their rounds, pick up the kid. All you have to do is register for it.
Mm-hmm. You know, for where it's
these bus pass things, they're more important to people who live in cities where, you know, generally there is a higher consumption of welfare programs because there's both more work and less work, if that kind of makes sense. Like if your parents are, if you're a small town farmer, generally you're going to be working on your parents' farm and it's self-sustaining financially, more or less, hopefully, and you just keep going, right?
Yeah.
If the farm collapses, where are you going to go as a young person? You're going to go to the city and hopefully, you know, get some skills and make it work. The people who typically are on welfare are like, yeah, people who want their gibs, people who haven't been educated to manage money properly and probably start working a McJob and then probably get, you know, a promotion here or there, and just they have no sense of how to save their money and put some away.
I would like to make a bigger point. It's obvious why they do it. It's to create a dependency consumption of everybody, make more people dependent. That's why they come up with new social program every year. And you know why they do this? It's because it gets on the mindset of a zero-sum game. That the only solution is the government to begin with.
Yeah, and I mean, that, like I was talking about earlier in the show, that's the pendulum swinging way far to the other side. I know you and I disagree on it, but I believe that there are a core of social programs that a wealthy nation can easily sustain to help benefit society as a whole. I know you'd like to see everything scrapped, but yeah, like for the most part, these constant layering of social program and social program and social program, it's bankrupting us as a country. And you're right, it's causing this dependency.
I just want to answer a question for Scotty. So the card in question, the one that's on that I get help for, the difference in the price is what makes it easy for me to pay for. So like, it's easy enough to say maybe I could get it for free. I mean, honestly, that would be fine, but it costs me $5 on the program. I think a card out here is probably $110. So it's a huge significance.
But is that's like what our old passes used to be, unlimited travel, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think what he might have been referring to was our pay cards here, our what they call Presto cards, in that when welfare issues those, yeah, sure, you're saving the $5 charge to buy the actual card, but then you need to basically, Scotty, they're also doing away with tokens and tickets and those kinds of things because it's all shady fucking backroom deals. This company Presto paid a lot of monies to make sure that they were the exclusive bidder and won the contract to have exclusive rights to handle the fair transactions on our system.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a lot of backroom shady dealing. And yes, it's again, bringing it full circle back to what Caligula was saying about dependency. It's now making sure that even the people who might be nickel and diming their way through life, trying to scratch their change together to get on a bus, are now going to be dependent on this card, making sure that this company is making money. So
and
they're getting there.
That's raised the other point, is that they do that. They do the dependency in order to have no competition, because when people are dependent upon you, they cannot.
Well, they buy that sort of starting monopoly, and then yeah, sure, it's all shady deals. It's all
Canada land.
Yeah, we're just as fucked up behind the scenes as our other first world cousins down south and across the pond.
I think down south it's debatable. They have more.
There's a lot more going on down there. There's a lot more going on down there.
It depends on states. I mean, California, obviously. New York, it's debatable. They are going.
Well, they're coastal cities, and they're highly densely populated centers. Yeah. So this is just depressing me, constantly having to talk about fucking the bogeyman of climate change and how our policymakers are fucking ruining Canada by just kowtowing completely to our fucking doomsday cult overlords. So Canada needs carbon tax of $210 a ton. A ton.
They're going to kill so many industries.
Yes. But hold on, let me get to it. By 2030, to meet Paris targets, report says. Now, first of all, fuck the Paris targets. Let's get the fuck out of this fucking agreement. Let's maybe sit down with Trump and say, why don't we make our own agreement? And say we're not going to increase and we're not going to stifle, but we're still going to keep moving forward. And we are going to invest in clean technology, but we're not going to fucking grab our own economies by the throat and fucking choke it to death. Because hold on. Let me quickly get on these points before we lose the numbers. Okay, so we need to in the next 11 years to reach the Paris Accord, we need to increase it to 210 tons. Again, those are metric tons. Our tons up here are bigger than they are down south, guys. So, or expand more expensive policies, because right now, as it stands, we're paying, under the federal government's plan, all provinces must have a carbon price equivalent to $20 per ton in place this year. It's 2020. $20 per ton. And in 10 years from them instituting that, it has to go, well, first of all, it has to go up to 50 per ton by 2022. So it's got to more than double in 2 years. And then by 2030, it's got to hit 210 per ton. Yes, Kyler. Yes, please. But I don't know. Can we just do what the colonialists did, way the fuck back when? And let's take all the good, rational people out of Australia, okay? Just the good, hard-working folk. And we take the UK, we take Canada, and we take the United States. We take these fucking crazies from California, from Toronto, from Vancouver, from New York. Take the fucking, in Ohio, these fucking Portland, Antifa, fucking crazy hyper leftists, and these religious right zealots. Let's all ship them off to fucking Australia and let them all fucking fight it out Thunderdome style.
I have a soft spot for, I'll bet on the religious right. I have a soft spot for them.
Sorry, I just had to get that out of my system because these people piss me off so much. They ruin the best parts of life for everybody.
They were right about the slippery slope, those fucking Christians, eh?
What are you talking about? They're the ones who are constantly...
They were right about the slippery slope. I mean, the first you legalize gay marriage and everything is going to fall down.
Again, it's Homer Simpson's makeup gun where they're just splattering all this shit, and sometimes it sticks.
But they were right.
But I mean, back to the carbon tax. I mean, like you were saying, Jen, like it's gonna bankrupt us. It really is. Every province, the ones that are failing, they're gonna go into massive recession. Even the ones that are doing okay are gonna be mass recession. Across Canada will be a mass recession if this shit happens.
I welcome the recession. People need
it's gonna increase gasoline by about 40 cents a liter.
Yeah, it's gonna hit people in the face. Maybe they will wake up after that. Huh?
It's just why are we cutting our nose off to spite our faces? I don't understand. Like again, it's not here just in Canada. It's everywhere.
Trump got ridiculized for saying that the Paris Climate Agreement was a Chinese plot. Global change was a Chinese conspiracy or something like that. But if you read the Paris Climate Agreement, the Chinese are considered second world country. So therefore, they're getting fundings for the others. The first world one, which are Europe and Canada.
The Western world, yeah.
So he was fucking right.
Yeah, of course he is. Like you said, it's creating this dependency on these new NGOs, non-governmental organizations, to monetize something that's been in the news and that people can weaponize and instill fear and make fucking billions and trillions of dollars off of. And of course, a country like China is going to spearhead that because they're the second or third highest contributor. But like you said, because they're considered a second world nation, they're not going to be hit as hard. We got to give them money.
Exactly. It's not their fault that they're second world fucking communist party run motherfuckers part of the world. No, it's not their fault.
Yeah, and seriously, free fucking Hong Kong.
That was beautiful.
China.
That was beautiful.
China.
That was beautiful. That those little protesters saying America.
Yeah. No, it really was.
It was tearing down my eye of my black cold heart. I love it.
Which obviously segues into my next article. Pro-democracy activists urge Trudeau to show some quote-unquote guts dealing with China. I know why they put that in the guts in quotes. Because we know Trudeau doesn't have any fucking guts. He doesn't have any fucking testicles. He's got a big pussy hat. That's all he's got. The Trudeau government in August called for an end to the violence and for China to respect human rights in Hong Kong, but has largely been quiet since then. Excuse me.
He would.
Of course, because just like typical Trudeau fashion, it's just an empty soundbite for the week, an empty platitude, and then doing no actual fucking work. Again, comparing him down to Trump. They want to say, oh, well, he's off golfing. Blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? He's doing other things too. Look at our fucking prime ministers doing jack fucking all.
I got a soundbite for Trudeau. I admire China for the dictatorship that turned their economy around.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's one thing I agree with Trudeau on. I do fucking admire it. It did turn around their economy. They're fucking evil bastards. It's an evil fucking system and an evil dictators. But what am I gonna do?
Talking about
thoughts and fucking prayers for the protesters in Hong Kong. That's the best I can do, and all the people who yearn to be free and who aren't completely brainwashed in China.
Like one of my buddies said, it's sad really, because it's like seeing a bunny going to the meat grinder. Not because you want to eat it, just because someone wants to fuck with you. So they take that bunny and they put it in the meat grinder. You can do nothing about it.
Grim.
Anyway, talking about politicians being pussies, I put an article in the side chat if you want to bring it up.
I don't. Fuck off. Yeah, I just hope that, again, it's cliche, but my thoughts and prayers are with these people because fuck, man, even a little bit of freedom is better than what they fucking live under and what the people of Hong Kong are under threat of.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I blame Hong Kong for Britain. They should be stepping up, and they should be first and foremost and saying, you know what, China? We're not going to let you fucking do what you're doing in your own country, the atrocities, the war crimes, and the fucking human rights atrocities that you're committing. Mm-hmm. We're not going to let you do that in Hong Kong. And if you set one foot on Hong Kong soil, we are going to move back fucking in full force. And you're not going to stop us. But no, the fucking Jeremy Corbyns of fucking Britain and his ilk, the fucking communist. Oh, I hate them so fucking much. They're putting so much political pressure to hands off. And I think because of the election, it's a little touchy for people to speak up. But I wish Bojo would. I wish, Priti Patel would, like these people who are strong voices. Most of them are on the Tory party, but there are a lot of liberal voices who are saying, like, we as the West as a whole have to step up and protect Hong Kong. And I think that Hong Kong could be, and a part of the analogy, be the new Israel, be the new ally in a region of the world where they're surrounded by mostly enemies of the West and Western freedoms and values. And I know Caligula is going to hate this, but like, help support them, but also come to their aid and make sure that they're helping us in some ways as well, because Hong Kong is a very Hong Kong is
hate this
because it's money. Basically, when it boils down to it, give them foreign aid so that they can rebuild.
We should bring Scotty on one of these days because
I'd love to.
Do you want to come on? I mean, you could pitch in. I mean, it's at least you're from the UK, kind of Scotland, technically. So
he's so right too.
Yeah, don't even care. No, you are really right. And I don't understand it, because you've got some pretty strong voices, like, and the news is evident, and it's not like the news remains local.
I think I can change.
Those stabbings on London Bridge were world news. And for more than just a hot moment, like we as the rest of the world, as outsiders looking in, Scotty, we see this shit. Do you still have the link, Jen?
I don't mind foreigners when it comes.
Somebody wants to join us.
When it comes in form of guns, I don't know what you're talking about. When it comes in
I don't know, but I gotta pull a Bloodwing, so have at it for a minute.
Yeah, so I don't know. I do not mind. I do not mind providing Hong Kong people with full rifles and the necessary ballistic weapons to confront China. That's not in my. It actually could make us money. So yeah, if we sell them weapons. Or to the Hong Kong, I don't know. The Hong Kong police is not on their side, so it's like the fucking French yellow vest. They're gonna get stepped on pretty hard. I don't know what we could do about it. I remember a guy that got his end blown off, and the girl got her eye removal by the police in France. That was pretty disgusting. And yet, it went out like a fart in water. Made a bubble for once, and when it came to the surface, it vanished.
Yes, the only thing I can't do is I can't pull Scotty into the stream because I don't have the StreamYard's powers. But
yeah, sorry, it was just a little too much coffee, and I had to pull a Bloodwing. Where is it? Ah, there he is. Hello, Scotty.
Hello.
How you doing, my friend?
Not bad, yourself?
I'm all right. Just kind of getting a little worked up going over the news. You know how it can get sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like I try to keep up as you know, with dealing with my own problems at home first, but I try to keep up as much as I can in your neck of the woods, because as far as Canada is concerned, we're closely related cousins to the Brits and the UK as a whole, and so I like to see what's going on over there, because
And
we
our
tend to
parliament
influence
has
each
this
other.
really, really poor habit of like copying shit from you, and I don't know why. Not you.
I always think Canada is pretty much just like America and Britain combined as like one child.
Yeah, they're sort of like the product of a one night stand between the two. That sort of, for some reason, at like 6 years old, became a ginger.
Hitalia put it best. They were just like, Canada's the weird brother spawn between England and France, and our brother is America, but America's a psycho who just really likes to eat cheeseburgers, and Britain just likes to eat petrified couch cushions.
Oh, so that immediately brought to my mind Alex's video of the girl that eats the mattresses.
Yeah.
Oh. But yeah, Corbyn. Oh, so dangerous. Communists generally are, but he actually has influence in your country.
Well, he doesn't really have influence so far because he's not the prime minister. He's the,
no, not outright influence, but I mean, he's still a voice. A lot of people still tend to follow him and believe the shit that he says, and he's got some, supporters in the news media like Owen Jones.
The Corbynistas, the fanatical supporters.
Bite him in the butt, though, that his brother is who he is, though.
So who is his brother? I don't actually know his brother.
I don't know it. I can't remember his first name. Let me just type that in because it'll show up.
I mean, Corbyn is the same guy that said Venezuela is a good way to go.
Right?
Oh boy.
And look at where they are now. So
it's just a lot more of the same, because standing in bread lines, that's a good thing. I'm Bernie Sanders. You should stand in a bread line because that way everybody gets bread. And everybody gets exercise because they're going to be standing in line.
Just mute this real quick.
You got something to... It's just, it boggles my mind. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime that communism in these brands would be so prevalent as they are in the spotlight in my lifetime.
Well, I kind of
all over the West. There's always been a presence, but it's never really been that heavy because we've had examples, the USSR, China, Venezuela, other South American countries. We see these dictatorships, these communist dictatorships, and these movements to be communist, and they always fail.
Well, they always have an excuse for it, don't they? They always say, well, a lot of people will just blame the US for Venezuela.
Yeah. Or the no true Scotsman fallacy of we never really tried communism. Fuck off.
Exactly. But the problem is
we never really tried democracy either.
We never demonized
because a true democracy would be retarded.
We never demonized communism as much as we demonized the Nazis. That's the problem. That's a real problem there.
Well, I think that's also a school issue as well, because I was never taught communist history in school. I don't know if a lot of other people were.
I was, but I was born in the early 80s, 1980. So, that was just on the tail of the Red Scare, Vietnam. Like communism was a big taboo in society, and it was a really bad thing. And a lot of people knew about it. They learned about it. I think maybe not so much in school. I mean, sure, we did learn about these things, but it was more passed down from our parents, the baby boomers.
Yeah, see, I wasn't born until 1996, so I didn't get all these things.
Yeah. It seems like it is quite a bit further removed, almost 2 decades removed. But still, when you think about it, has the internet really sped up time that much for us? Holy shit.
But like I said, it's, in general, the communists is not being demonized as much as the Nazis, and that's why it's so prevalent now. Because you don't get beat up if you wear a T-shirt with a hammer and sickles on it.
Oh, Jen, yes, Piers Corbin, love that guy. When he tears them the fuck down, oh, it's delicious.
That's his brother. Like I could just like, it's one of those things where like I wonder if they just like punch each other in the face every once in a while. Because this guy,
Jeremy,
like he follows his brother a little bit, you know, like.
Yeah, Jeremy seems like the type of the brother who was always the less favored person. I don't mean in the family, maybe also in the family, maybe he was beaten, I don't know. But like the less favored, like Piers was always the more popular brother, always, you know, and Jeremy always resents him for it. And now that they're both in politics, he just resents Piers so much.
I would think Corbin would be like a mummy's boy, wouldn't he?
Yeah, yeah, but never quite getting all of Mummy's attention. It always went to Piers because Piers always did well, and Piers always got the touchdown kind of thing, you know? The better brother. Oh, Jeremy Corbyn, you're an asshole.
Yeah, the man who likes taking pictures of manhole covers in his free time.
Right? Like, it just, it boggles my mind. It really does.
What's your opinion, Scottman's, on
See,
everything
you know what they
going on?
really need to do when they teach you about communism is they really need to teach you about what it was like to be in a gulag, like the real honest to God gulags. You know, where they're making their homemade tattoo stuff out of like
like Caligula said, we drive point the home of the Nazi camps, but like you're saying, we don't talk about the gulag. We don't talk about these.
No, even if they were talking about it, they will dismissively say, "Oh, that's because capitalism got involved," or some bullshit like that. It is always an issue.
Even though no system to date has given more people more freedom.
But you know the rhetoric, right?
Life.
It's like, "Oh, that's state capitalism," or some bullshit like that. That's always their excuse. But it's not even at that point. Nazism, you can get in prison for talking about like questioning the numbers and shit.
Yeah.
It's on two different levels. You're not gonna get beat up if you wear hammer and sickle shirt. You're gonna get beat up if you wear the swastika, though.
No, you're gonna get high fives on the street. Way to go, comrade! Fight the system.
I always thought maybe it's because the Nazis target specific group of people before their religious beliefs, which is what that's seen as like Jewish people, whereas communism attacked basically anyone.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, communism did go after religion too, but it'll go after anything that it's got an angle. The only thing, though, is it does copy a lot of its tactics from religion. A lot of them do. Like I like.
It's a cult of personality, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it has been pushed, or at least in Canada, it's been at least 3 generations down the pipe hole of communistic belief. It was coming from our fathers, from the baby boomers. Generation X, I came out of it okay, and Generation Y's onward.
And that tells you all about how old I was when I learned that joke, because I was a little bit older than you during the 80s, because I was born in 82. But I remember what age I was when my dad told me about what a Russian pipeline was, and not the Russian pipeline, but like. So Russian pipeline is this thing where you take a crap into a condom and then you freeze it and then you use it.
Oh boy!
What?
I don't want to know anymore.
Your father taught you this.
He just told this joke, and it was one of those things where, like, you know, when you're a little kid and you go to an archery shoot and your dad's not aware that you're around, and he thinks that you didn't hear it, but you sure did, and then, like, 30 years later, you pull it on. I pulled it on Monkey too.
Jen, the condom, as a young kid, the condom, it's like, what's that, Daddy? A balloon? Yeah, Jen, it's a balloon. So you put the poop in the balloon.
Jen. Please, Jen, educate us more. What is a Boston pancake?
That one I don't know. I do. I can't remember the name of the one where you pull the blankets over the head and you fart, but I think there's that one too.
What about the figging? Talk all about the figging.
That's a Dutch oven, Jen.
Yes, that's the term. That's
you can ask Elwin in chat all about the Dutch oven.
Oh boy.
Oh, it could be a Jewish oven.
You ever tried?
Well, I guess I am a Jew, so it would be a Jewish oven. Oh.
You know who you don't want to do that to is if you have a cat who's just decided to snuggle up under the covers and then you just fart unintentionally. You know, you're asleep and all.
Oh, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. Elwin will get it. The cat will get it. Anybody within a 10-block radius will get it.
I do it to the cat that wakes me up.
So
it's really bad when it's the fart that wakes you up.
Oh boy!
It's just so whoa! What the? Oh my God! Was that me? Holy shit!
Opinionated Scotsmans, what's your latest thought on the news of the world? What are you aiming for?
I don't know anymore, to be honest.
You're lost in this mad clown world.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did they have like a separatist part of Scotland?
Well, no. The thing, what it was Scotland has its own parliament, and the leader in it's separate from like Westminster. They make some of its own laws, and the party in charge of that right now is the SNP, which is obviously Scottish National Party. They held a referendum about 5 years ago for Scotland to separate from the UK,
and that failed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, they haven't accepted the result ever since.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate.
And people.
Oh, yeah, you French Canadian.
Well, their vote actually passed.
Yeah, but they had 2 referendums, didn't they?
Things that's really installed in you. You know, like I think I've told you before that my ancestry hails from Scotland, and it's one of those things when you talk about stories of like back then, that's like 9 generations ago. Yeah, the idea of a free Scotland was like, yeah, absolutely free from England. Fuck yeah. But now it just, you know, now you look at it, it's just like, what are you really signing up for?
Like the thing is, they don't even want independence. They want to leave the UK so they can then rejoin the EU.
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
That's crazy.
See, like that's what I mean. Like there's always that part that's like pushed, ingrained. You know, like even from the point of the movies where you're just like, yeah, fuck England, but like at the same time you look at it and you're just like, are you doing it for your best interests? Because that's. No.
Well, I mean, that's what Brexit is about.
Yeah.
It's the best interests of the United Kingdom. And its best interests is to maintain what is the United Kingdom right now and get out of the iron cross talons of Herr Stamper. No, what's her name? Herr Merkel. And it's a nation that will persevere and stand on its own without the interference and the bullshit that comes along with the EU.
Muti. It's muti.
Yeah, I mean, Brexit is actually the turning point that made me pay attention more and more to what's going on in the UK because, I mean, like Jen was saying earlier, it's all interconnected. It's all part and parcel to the Western culture.
Actually, they're using the SNP themselves are actually using the Brexit referendum as an excuse to try and push for it because, well, Scotland voted majority to remain in the EU.
Yeah,
dictatorships are amazing.
So they're saying they're basically saying, well, half of Scotland will stay in the UK and the other half will stay with the EU. And it's like, no, that's not how it's going to work, pal. So
this could be a woman, but from this day forth, every woman who looks like that dude is ma'am.
That does kind of look like an older macho man tranny savage, yeah. So there was a Facebook post in a Durham officers closed group, so it's not public, you can't see anything, and it's for ex-officers. People just share stories, keep connected, and Durham is just like the outside, northern outside area outside of Toronto. So they're sort of, rural police. And apparently somehow an image was leaked that somebody shared. And members of advocacy groups say the image justifies police violence against Black people. And she definitely looks like she's the, I want to talk to your ombudsman, I want to talk to your manager, I want to talk to your supervisor type of Karen, even though she doesn't have the cut. I think she's just a little too old and a little too mannish for the Karen cut. So shall we take a look at what
Janet.
Shall we take a look and see what the mega offensive picture was? So one of the ex-cops' children in class made a picture. My dad is my hero, with the little arrow pointing at his dad, taking down a bad guy with his partner, and everybody standing around going, "Oh my God, the police are saving us. Yay!" And apparently this is perpetuating violence against Black people.
See, that reminds me of that episode of South Park where Chef got offended by the South Park flag or something because it was like
I hope she
like a black person getting hung by white people or something.
Closest thing to a neutral color that they ever give you in a Crayola box. It's not that he's trying to portray a person of color. It's just anybody who's ever owned a box of Crayola pencil crayons knows there is no valid tan color. The closest thing to it is that. You have to mix it with pink to get anything close to it, and it looks like shit. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. Fuck you. It's not his fault. That's all I'm saying.
How the fuck is that newsworthy? It's like a drawing for children. What the fuck?
That's the thing. Look at the image. It's like, a 6-year-old, and the 6-year-old isn't going to know anything about race, like in that kind of a context of it being racist and all Black people or all brown people are criminals. No. And look at poor Chief Paul Martin. He fought back tears as he spoke with CBC Toronto about the image, calling it repulsive. I can't believe it, you guys. I can barely hold it in. Like, fuck off.
See,
it was a closed group. It's not going out, and B, it's done by a fucking child.
So, here's the thing that's really frustrating is, if we were, a diverse society with equality in mind, which side she would be pitching for? She'd be pitching for the side that goes after Crayola for not having a proper color that, is used for white people, because they've never had one of those. I'm just saying.
They're usually in the extended packs. I think the 36 plus crayon packs. Hey.
Band-Aids are racist against brown people. Put the beige crayon in the Crayola box.
That it's one of those things that, the basic colors, they cover everybody else in the rainbow, including the purple people. Okay, the purple people have inclusion, but we don't. I'm just kidding.
Don't bring up Omniscient anywhere near that stream. I dare you.
But for the record, as somebody who draws and used to use pencil crayons, because they do have some good colors, that was always a frustration in a basic pack, is that you don't really have colors for blending that kind of thing.
Don't you just use peach, though? Because isn't peach the closest one, really?
Yeah, kinda, but it's still really it's still a kind of an orangey pink.
It's very stupid.
But I mean, stupid controversy to stir up somebody get fired.
So we've established that it's fairly reasonable that the kid wouldn't have thought that this is offensive, wouldn't like these racial tones of racism aren't really in the child's mind. The cop here, former cop Lewis Waldman, put a message out to the group saying, I didn't think it would have been offensive, and I apologize that people found it offensive, blah, 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 blah. So the people who are calling this out and who are disgusted, they're the ones who brought attention to the fact that there's racist undertones here to a child's drawing. Gee, I wonder who the actual fucking racists are. It's more of the same, guys, right? Like, it's just more of this projection shit that we're I mean, that seems to be the MO of the century. Just project.
But then actually it doesn't make sense then, because these are the same people that will say that the police are like attacking black people all the time and things like that.
Well, apparently they are. Did you see the stick drawing?
What if
you know what? This is really just another clue as to how racist this bitch actually is. Because honestly, you could tell by the crayon colors that it's obviously that he's not trying to portray someone who's brown. But my dad is my hero, so like, what is she thinking in this picture? Oh, he's making fun of like black people for not having their fathers. Like, this is her literally spelling out to you how racist her line of thinking is, because like, A, you have to stretch the color to pick a black person out of the color of the picture, and B, it's about somebody's dad, and C, it's about cops. This is this lady just portraying herself as, look, I'm the white person living with privilege because I can be a racist piece of shit in front of you to your face, have you believe that I'm on your side. Well, I mean, if you're stupid. I mean, none of the black people I know are stupid enough to fall for that crap. And she's just highlighting herself. You racist piece of shit. There's nothing about that picture that's racist, but you yourself, man.
Because they see it everywhere.
They do.
It's this self-flagellation and this guilt complex that some people seem to have, that is just like, they see it everywhere, and they've become the racist. They're really so afraid of it. They treat everything with such kid gloves that they then become racist, you know, most commonly through the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Yeah, it's amazing and ironic.
Yeah. Like whoa, I just got a huge freaking sound out of the fucking ad. Sorry, I was gonna say, it's just like what Satsu always you know talks about, in that they always think that the poor black man ain't gonna get a fair shake, or you know can't do it on his own or whatever, and they just treat you like you're less than, you know, and it's just like, no man, I'll do me, you just chill, like oh my god. So, how about we shift over to some Star Wars talk? I know you guys love Star Wars. Scotty, what do you think of Star Wars?
I haven't really seen much of Star Wars, to be honest. I've seen a few of them, but
that's a shame. Star Wars.
Caligula hates Star Wars. Jen's a casual fan. I'm a super fan. But on this show, because it's my show, I like to talk Star Wars every now and then. And I've got a couple quick articles I'd like to get through. So apparently people are getting a little confused at the new Star Wars poster. I don't know why. I don't really care. Bye. You can be confused all the fuck you want. If you're going to see the movie, you're probably an idiot. And I'm okay with that. Because you deserve to have your money fleeced. And actual fans of the Star Wars property and other various properties that have not benefited from the explosion of sort of like that geek culture like we have with Iron Man. You know, we'll have our moments with things like The Mandalorian, and hopefully with the Obi-Wan show. Notably enough, you know, I go on about him at length all the time. Jon Favreau, he's the man.
I got a question for you. A serious question.
No.
Would you have preferred that George Lucas did a new trilogy instead of having Disney make one?
Disney, definitely not. Lucas, probably not. But oh man, somebody else, like again, Jon Favreau or Kevin Smith. Have Kevin Smith do the story writing, not the script writing, but do the story writing. Somebody who, again, like Jon Favreau, who grew up with these kinds of things. Excuse me, sorry guys. who grew up with these things and have an appreciation and a almost reverence for the source material and build upon it, not take away from it, and do it in an effective way. But as we were talking about the other show, how the script was lost and then found and then bought up by a Disney employee on eBay, it was released that, it was Mr. John Boyega because he was partying too hard. Way to go, Johnny. Not only did you ruin the movies, but you've also ruined the movies and Star Wars. So good on you. And there's Mr. Earl.
Who's that guy?
Trout. The guy from Better Call Saul?
No, but who's John Boyega, the guy? Who's that guy?
He's
the guy who plays a stormtrooper in Star Wars, the new ones.
What? Somebody
the black guy?
Stormtrooper? I thought they were like faceless and expendable.
Not this one. This one's special because he's a POC.
Oh, okay.
He's a person of color. Therefore he's a Dindu. That means he's good. And in the social,
oh my god! You know what? South Park predicted this one too. I'm gonna die.
The Chewbacca defense.
But then again, if he's black, like if he's black and they really wanted emphasis on the fact he's black, why would they give him a character that was in a suit?
Yeah, I don't know. I've drawn a lot of comparisons. Again, in The Mandalorian, because Pedro Pascal is such a good actor, he never takes off the fucking helmet. But through that helmet, my avatar, he's able to emote. He's able to act, even though you have this mylar plastic just completely masking his face.
Well, irony of ironies. It doesn't even have to be like a person on the screen. In this day and age, and I'm going to use The Little Mermaid as an example. Like, honestly, I don't give a shit about Disney movies. Like, I think it's stupid that they're remaking them all.
Yeah, especially in live action kind of CGI ugliness.
But let's be real. It's okay for them to have a black girl play Ariel, and it's no shame to her singing. She probably sings fine,
Sure. Yeah.
They can do that and not blink an eye. But could you imagine the heads exploding if Simba had been played by a white dude again?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Why would it matter though? He's a lion.
Yeah.
Well, for them, you see, here's the thing. Like, if you point at a picture of a gorilla, they automatically assume that you're being racist because you're talking about black people. But you point at a lion, and automatically it's a black dude. So, regardless, they're still referring to black people as animals and stuff. But it's the same. Like, if the character was a black character and it was played by a white voice actor, their heads would explode.
Aye, why not the British actor?
Well, I'll bring this up here on the screen. So at the top, we have Ariel, replaced by Black Girl. Triss from The Witcher, replaced by a Black Girl. Hawk Girl from DC Comics, replaced by a Black Girl. Heimdall, replaced by a Black man. Electro, replaced by a Black man. This is all just pop culture characters arbitrarily race changed. I don't have a problem with race changing things. It all matters on the caliber of the actor and if they can do it or not. Like, for instance, Idris Elba as Heimdall. I fucking loved him. Mm-hmm. I love the girl who played Hawk Girl. Not too much into The Witcher.
Wait, there's a girl.
But I mean, to Jen's point, like, all these things can be done and nobody bats an eye. Like Jimmy Olsen. Country boy, ginger, milk toast Jimmy Olsen becomes a black dude. Starfire, an alien, an orange alien, becomes a black chick. Like, nobody bats an eye. And again, like I said, I don't have a problem with the race changing or anything. It doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm. But if like I said, if it was on the other foot, though, heads
would fucking roll. Yeah.
The problem is, if you know that they're doing that, it's not only that they're doing. They try to push something else. Let's take perhaps the Batgirl thingy. I watched the trailer for that shit.
God.
And let's say that it's not the fact that she's a lesbian or not or whatever. It's the entire show that is encompassed with social justice bullshit in it. So
well, it's not even just that. Like the entire time that she's like, "Oh, I'm a lesbian," she hits on every single woman, regardless of whether or not they look like they're comfortable. And it's one of those things where, like, if a man were doing what she was doing, if Batman were doing what she was doing, they would have had a whole stink about it. And the entire time I'm watching it, and I'm just like, you know what? I can accept that. You know, you lean another way when it comes to who you want to bed. But if you were a man doing what you're doing right now, I would have you on the list of people to keep an eye out for. I'm just saying. And my mom watched it, and she was just like, between being more than just a little bit uncomfortable, she was just like, I don't really get what they're trying to push with this.
They try to push something for sure.
I'm gonna keep bringing it back to this. It seems like this seems to be our theme of the show today.
That's why I invented this revolutionary makeup gun. It's for the woman who only has 4/5 of a second to get ready. Close your eyes,
back when The
Mark.
Simpsons was good.
Now you're ready for a night on the town.
Everybody just seems to be like taking their makeup gun, shooting, and seeing what shit sticks. And it doesn't matter if everything else is messed up around it because something stuck. These people, they'll bitch and complain and whine about anything and everything under the sun. That's social justice, this, social justice, that, climate change, this, climate change, that, equity, this, equity, that, and just hoping that something sticks. The sad fact is that some of it is sticking.
Wow.
But let me finish my Star Wars stuff, because every once and again, and they do this a lot of the time, when we thought my brother was dying from cancer, I tried to get him into the program, but it was just a logistical thing. They do this a lot, Disney. So, you know, terminally ill patients, they get their own like private screenings of these big budget movies. And it's kind of a nice gesture.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they do give a lot to charities and to these sort of
what
like,
a horrible way to go, though.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Like, I didn't know we were actually bringing back the gulag.
Sorry,
you're gonna force this kid to watch this shit? He doesn't know any better. He's dying. He's a child. Don't subject him to this.
I mean, you know what? You get Mark Hamill to dress up as old man Luke, and you bring in a puppet with baby Yoda and adult Yoda, and you come in and you visit the kid, and maybe you watch, like, you know, the first episode with the guy, and you have some cake with the little boy, and then there, he's happy, you know?
Yeah. Like, a lot of people do that. RDJ, he dressed up in an Iron Man suit and visited the sick kids hospital. You know, like all these stars who do some of that genuine philanthropic work just to give these kids a moment of magic.
Well, I think the guy that played Winnie the Pooh, I think he used to call up like kids who were in like sick hospitals a lot, and actually like call them as like Winnie the Pooh, basically.
Not in China.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Oh man. But I mean, yeah, it's just nice to see these kids, small miracles, small acts of kindness that just.
I mean, it is still a free movie, so I'll give them that. I'm like.
Well, I'm saying the act as a whole, not that specific act, because that is kind of. But yeah, it is nice. Give them a little bit of magic, even if the movie's shit. You know how much that'll mean to the kid. Really, it really will.
I mean, especially if the kid was like dying to see the movie.
Well, he will lick the plot for the movie, and nobody gonna see it.
Well, the plot's already been leaked. The script got lost.
You know what? Maybe a miracle will happen, and the movie will piss this kid off so much that he'll be like, you know what? I refuse to die. I have to fight this shit so that I can grow up enough to write a script for this bitch who has no excuse. We all know she has no excuse. She's just being lazy and incompetent. And maybe it'll give him that drive to you know, survive this thing, and it'll be the rise of Skywalker in real life.
I mean, I would imagine the kid was dying to see it.
Hope for kids.
By the way, since we are on the movie topic, I saw a movie yesterday. It was great. It's called Army of One, and it's Nicolas Cage fighting Osama bin Laden. It's a good movie.
It probably is.
I'm sure it is. It's just
Amazing.
the premise sounds hilarious. So more social bullshit, but now in the world of sports, the NHL is now being hit by this bullshit. This gentleman on your screen is Mr. Bill Peters. He's a coach, currently with the Calgary Flames. And I don't know, like a decade ago, he said some shit. He gave an apology because of some of the shit that he said, like a decade ago. Admittedly, some of the language he used in frustration, maybe. But if I bring up the other screen to bring up the actual quotes, he like this player Akim Aliou came forward again 10 years later to say what he said about the coach, and saying that he used less than choice language. And I don't think he was being racist, but the players quoted in as saying he walked in before a morning pregame skate and said, "Hey, Akim, I'm sick of you playing that N-bomb shit," Aliou told TSN. He said, "I'm sick of hearing this N-bombs, fuck other N-bombs in the ass stuff." Then he walked out like nothing ever happened. You could hear a pin drop in the room. Everything went dead silent. I just sat down in my stall. I didn't say a word. And I mean, the context here is that this kid would be blaring like gangsta rap of like, N-bomb this, N-bomb that, yo, N-bomb, I'm gonna fuck your N-bomb in the A double asterisks, like kind of stuff. And he's just sick of listening to this from his office next to the player change room. And I can understand why, because he's probably sick and freaking tired, like a lot of people, of hearing this kind of language used so flippantly in music and blah, 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 blah. And then even if you were to use it in a reporting or a academic manner, like talking about history or something, you will be extracized from society by these social justice Nazis. So it's really ridiculous that this is coming out now. Of course, it's coming out now. Of course, because everybody's fucking wanting to jump on the bandwagon. They see how profitable it's going for others to weaponize and monetize their victimhood status. It's more of the same. More of the same.
They end up losing a job or something. That's what will happen after that.
When that came up, I was just thinking about that time period where, Canada and Russia had those 80-84 games.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I could just imagine the real racial slurs there. Because it's one of those things.
Oh, dude. When I was growing up, just listening to like Hockey Night in Canada, they swore like freaking sailors at each other. They would use any epithets, every epithet. They would talk about each other's, like they were trash talking full force, no holds bar on the ice.
Yeah.
And somewhere around the 90s, the Gary Bettman era of the NHL, where it's become more pussified, you're not allowed to do that kind of stuff on ice anymore. And certainly in current year, you're not allowed to even have said that 20 years ago.
They wonder why their business is like going out. Like it's one of those
because
things.
They're
like,
listening to the people who don't patron their businesses.
It really is, because a lot of people don't follow hockey anymore. It's still a national sport. Don't get me wrong. Like the hockey fans are never going to go away, but they're not following it because between the crap with the the owners and the players and the message, and the game's really lost a lot of its appeal. And honestly, it's gotten boring. It's gotten boring. But yeah, no, like I said, this thing with racial slurs, they got nothing on those games because those are historical. Like, you bring those up and people are like, I remember this rumor that everyone has that Canadians are nice people. And then you watch those and you're like, are we?
Thing is, actually, it doesn't even need to be yourself that says it, because I remember this guy who lost a sponsorship. I think it was some like race car driver. He lost a sponsorship because his dad said the N-word on radio like 30 years ago.
The NASCAR driver, yeah. It's just out of control. It really is that slippery slope. Speaking of slippery slopes, I forgot to include this with our little spotlight on the Human Rights Tribunal, but there was a verdict recently here in Canada. There must always be a legal basis for police actions. A civil rights group has welcomed a decision by Canada's highest court to award $20,000 in damages to a woman who was arrested for not holding an escalator handrail. Check out that bitch's compo face.
Yeah, it's the nose. It's the nose. Are you from Iran? It's this thing I hear from everyone from Iran that I know who's from Iran. And the thing that they tell me is they always get a nose job for like their 18th birthday. And the ones that turn it down are the ones that are like going to this kind of profession.
We're returning back to Caligula's neck of the woods. Decision by the Supreme Court of Canada follows a decade-long legal battle by Montreal woman Bella Kassoian, who was a student at the time of her arrest in 2009. She was walking down an escalator in the Montmorency metro station in Laval, Quebec, on Montreal's North Shore, when a police officer ordered her several times to respect a sign that said in French, "Caution, hold the handrail." It's written caution, so we are not forced to hold the handrail, Kosian said at the court ruled in her favor. Police has to be accountable. It was very hard. I was afraid and I did not want to be in public and I was blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. Sure. Police excising their rights. I mean, overstepping their reach. It's a fucking warning. It's not a law. It's not a bylaw. It's not set in fucking stone. It's a suggestion to ensure that you are safer. And even still, there have been reports that is not even the case. It's not even safer. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not an elevator or an escalator expert. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad she got a settlement out of it because these cops were acting like total fucking dickheads.
Mm-hmm.
Hold the fucking handrail. Don't get bent, you fucking pig. Like, I got respect for boys in blue and women in blue, but I mean, come on. Don't you have fucking better things to do?
You would think, considering, I mean, it's not like we don't have guys.
No, it's fucking Quebec. They're busy literally policing speech and fining people for not speaking French and not labeling things the exact proper, 300 guideline way that it has to be posted in French. It's Canada.
Yeah, haven't they pretty much outlawed the English language?
What's that? Sorry?
Haven't they pretty much outlawed the English language?
No, but if your sign is in... I was being semi-hyperbolic, but there are like 200 points, rules and guidelines for signage and stuff that have to be respected so that if there is English on the sign, there's like the appropriate amount of translation in French that has to be a certain point or bigger than the English and this and that and blah, 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 blah. It's...
Because I remember seeing a thing where an ice cream shop got fined because it's the tub that the ice creams came in was in English, had English writing on it.
No, it wasn't that it had English writing on it. It's that the French on the package wasn't a certain percentage bigger than the English. Again, it's very nitpicky. There's like 200 points that they have to follow, and it mostly deals with when packaging has English on it. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. I understand you want things in French, but
You know how
it's
crazy it gets?
so anal.
No. Yeah, I live there. I know. You know how crazy it gets? Let's say you have the Crest toothpaste, but it's on the English side and not the French one on the shell. You can get a fine.
Yep.
So yeah.
Like I said, there's a couple hundred like mandates that everybody has to comply with, and it's poop. But some people are getting justice, and this is one of the very few stories of good that we see from some of our legislations here in Canada. That we have, watchdog organizations that. For instance, in this case, customers filed record number of complaints about Canadian telecoms because we're really getting fleeced. There's a lot of suspect of backroom deals. There's a lot of mismanagement of accounts, overcharges, illegal practices, like literally illegal practices, like deceptive practices to the point where they will sell you a service, like let's say cable TV or a phone, and within 2 years, say, your cable package will just dramatically increase by $50. Or they'll charge you for things you didn't order, or it's just all these various complaints. And they've had an increase over the last couple of years of like over 40%. So some people are actually starting to take legal action and using the system to not only get monetary recompense for their malpractices of these companies, but because to also enact change, to make sure that these people are now noticed by these watchdogs and regulated by the regulators and not allowed to let slip. But I doubt that that'll happen because the money changes hands and it goes to the right people. And, in 6 months' time, people forget about this and it kind of slips through the cracks. They might get a little bit of money back from their individual or case settlements. But at the end, I don't think it'll enact any change.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong. We all know.
Luckily, cable TV and things like that are on the way out anywhere.
Yeah, but I mean, this is everything. This is internet providers. Our big two, Rogers and Bell here in Canada, it's a duopoly. It really is. It's a fixed price duopoly, and which is quite illegal in Canada. But they get away with it anyway. We've made chips and cracks as a people to sort of break it up here and there, bits and pieces, but ultimately they still control everything. Cell phones, internet, television, radio, they control it all. And that's too much power over the media by two companies that basically are two sides of the same coin. It's a two-headed coin, really. They both want the same thing, maximize profits and keep fleecing people and price fixing. And
they stay with BT over here then, because BT actually still owns all the infrastructure and stuff that allows the internet to exist.
That's British Telecom, right?
Yeah.
But you guys don't really have antitrust legislation, do you?
Don't think so.
You guys can actually have monopolies in the UK, I believe. I don't think that they're allowed to actively quash competition, but it's not that like they're outright illegal. In Canada, and to a lesser extent in the United States, we have these antitrust legislations which say that companies like this.
Shit.
What? No, I mean it's there on paper. Whether or not it's enforced is something else. But the fact of the matter remains that there are legislations in place that aren't being enforced. Like that's how Rogers and Bell are able to act as basically a duopoly. Bell owns the infrastructure. Rogers owns most of the hardware and distribution. But basically, you're getting, even if you're going through a third party, you're getting your internet or telephone through one of those two. And I mean, that's why these antitrust legislations exist and should be enforced, is because they allow for things like price fixing. And yes, we do have some of the best infrastructure as far as telecoms go in the world. We're not the best, but we do have really good infrastructure for it because it's relatively new. And it's still being built, and there's a huge demand for it, especially when you start moving away from urban centers. However, in urban centers, we're getting faster and faster and faster internet for a cheaper price point, but we're paying more overall, even though the technology relatively isn't going that fast. We're just finding cheaper ways of instituting it. And so it's spreading out better into rural places. But we still pay more overall than most of the rest of the world. Canada specifically, we pay more than the United States. So we're Britain. Woo! My throat is dry.
Yeah, we've been going for a while. I was just gonna say. How you doing?
I wanted to hear some of Scotty's points on things. So that's why I decided to keep going. I got
so opinionated.
I don't really know what to say, to be honest.
The opinionated Scotsman has no... Fuck, that was terrible. The opinionated Scotsman doesn't have a fucking opinion.
That sounded more Irish.
It did.
Yeah. That's why I don't do those.
That's the problem with actually trying to do like the accent for the person whose native tongue is actually that accent. It always sounds off. In my private time, like with Elwin or whatever, I can pull off like this, that, and whatever. But if I'm trying to, like, if I try to do a Russian accent for somebody who happens to be, like Ruski, it comes off more like Spanish or something. It's really weird. I tried to do it for Alex once, and it just came off like complete, like some retarded bastardization of like Australian and Cockney. It was really bad.
Well, Australian basically is just retarded Cockney anyway.
Yeah. But it was really bad. Oh, Adrian, how you doing, Cockney? Oh no, that's so bad. So bad.
Yep. Prince Philip and the Queen make a porno for the kids. Just gotta explain how the female body works, and
you just gave me a horrifying mental image.
Now that's something I haven't really voiced my opinion on about Prince Philip because of the I don't really care. But there's been a lot of talk, and a lot of people like Monkey tend to take him to task. And I know why, because he's part of the royal family. He doesn't really like royals that much, and what have you, and that's fine. I respect that. It's just that the presumption of innocence is kind of in certain circumstances, and I can't really tell if he's being completely comedic or if he's being entirely like truthful in his comedy when he derides people like that, because I'd like to see the facts come out before making any judgment calls.
I don't know.
Like, there's a lot.
The facts are never gonna come out though.
No, of course not. So that's why, like, if it's lighthearted banter and just taking pot shots at somebody who's in the news, great. Like, all the more power to him, and I think he's hilarious. But like when it comes down to brass tacks, is he guilty or not? Well, like, I don't know, and I can't say one way or another. I'm not gonna judge somebody based on their association, even if it's a fucking world-renowned pedophile. With someone like Bill and Hillary, it's a little bit more easy when you make the connections. But anyway.
Oh, you're talking about Prince Andrew, not Prince Philip.
Yeah. Oh, Prince Andrew, right. Prince Philip, that's the younger one.
That's the Queen's husband.
Oh, so he's going to become king when she turns 95? Or is it Charles?
No, that'd be Charles, because Prince Philip is 98 years old.
Right. Yeah, I just recall reading a news story about that today or something, about how she's planning on somewhere around her 95th birthday standing down so that and then Charles would be next in succession, correct?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? I don't really know much about Charles other than the Queen offed his bitch.
Honestly, I think it's probably time to get rid of the royal family. To be honest, I think it's
Outdated.
they're old-fashioned now, and they have the power over here to write off any law they want.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I think ultimately they have the power to come over here and do whatever the fuck they want too. But
I don't think they do, actually. I think over there she's literally just a figurehead, isn't she?
I don't know the complete extent to her power, but I know that there still is.
She could do something, but
I don't know what
it's
the
Canada.
limits on what
Who
they can
cares?
do. Yeah, and yeah, it's not like the rest of Canada would be like, what? No, go through our parliament like any normal person. But you're right. Like, get rid of it. Let them keep their fortune and sink or swim like any other rich family, and get them out of politics. Let your political system fail on its own.
Politics anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, do it officially on paper.
But my thing would be like Charles or like William or whoever the fuck. If they become king, then I don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I don't know much about Charles other than, he's kind of just been a soft-spoken, not really in the limelight all too much, here at least on the global stage.
Well, apparently he backs a lot of like social justice causes and things. I've heard.
Might have to look into that some more, but he might be the type of person, and who shows up and gets coronated and says, you know what, I'm going to enact a royal decree that we're going to dissolve the royal family as far as its relation to politics altogether, and put it on paper and let the parliament sink or swim on its own merits.
I don't know. I think it's just a safety net in case the parliament goes too crazy.
Maybe that's their version of the 3-tiered system that the U.S. uses to keep the checks and balances. But
I mean, technically, it's the crown that holds the power, and the crown gets its power from God. Apparently, that's how that works.
Yeah, and the parliament just enacts the. Yeah.
It's really.
Excuse me. Like I said, my throat's getting a little scratchy, so I think we'll wrap it up pretty soon. Scotty, what have you been up to these days, man?
I don't know, just doing a few things. Calls, working there. I might get back to streaming regularly eventually.
That's good. I miss reading some of your reporting of the shenanigans of across the pond. I always had a good chuckle. Sometimes it got a little wild with some of your guests, but
Crypticson said he's obsessed with you singing. He just really loves it, apparently.
Scotty sings?
Yeah, Cryptic pays me to sing.
Sing us something right now.
I know when I was making fun of you before, Scotty, and you showed me a picture of yourself, I'm like, oh, he's just a wee little laddie. There, I did Irish again. What the fuck?
Are you thinking of the Jacksepticeye?
Who?
The Jacksepticeye.
Septic what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that guy.
In the septic pool? No, thanks. That's why God invented tissues, damn it. But yeah, I don't know what else to be talking to or about, other than the last and final thing I'm going to share is, of course, our Canadian narwhal moose. So either nar moose or moo wall. It's our majestic creature. It's our majestic creature of legend in the Canadian wilderness.
I guess it could be a unimoose as well.
Maybe it can be cryptic. I missed something there. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. I think my guests today are losing their minds, and I'm losing it with them. So thanks to my lovely co-host JenTMaxi, and thanks for stopping by as always, Caligula, and our special guest today for the last half of the show, opinionated Scotsman Scotty. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me on.
And any parting remarks, folks?
Cry more, you will pee less.
Try more, you will pee less. That's words to live by.
Don't put sauce on your dick.
Don't put sauce on your dick. Jen, where are they gonna find us next?
So the next time I should be streaming will be on Tuesdays. So I've geared my time for after Bloodwing stream. Assuming he's doing it this week, because last week I think I jumped the gun a little bit. Because I think he was just finishing up his training last week.
Yeah.
But this
he said he
week
was going to try, so.
Yeah, so I'm going to start streaming about 3 o'clock Western, and I believe that's 5 o'clock.
5 p.m. EST, 10 p.m. GMT.
Yes.
You are correct, my dear.
Yes. And we'll be doing that on Thursday as well. So I'm not sure if you want to do Thursdays or if we just want to take turns like every other time or what have you.
Yeah, we can talk off stream. Maybe we'll add a Thursday. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of build up in between the Tuesday and the Saturday, so maybe a third day we can have keep it more committed to 2 hours, and I don't know. We can discuss more of that. You know, we're still trying to find our footing, and we love the handful of people that do show up.
Exactly. It's
supported through. Oh, hit my mic. I just headbutt my mic.
So the other thing is tomorrow, if I can, I'm going to try and do a Stardew stream just because there's been a hell of a lot of updates. I'm trying to gear it up to set up for a multiplayer. It's just I want to play through the first year and get everything up to the point where everything that's been done that people have seen before has been done. So it's more
the newer
new
content. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that way people can just explore. I mean, some of it I've built already, so you guys can just kind of take a look at it. I'm going to leave a little bit of space so, people can build it themselves if they want. But yeah, it's been a good time. And I love my new mod. My new mod that connects all mods is amazing. Anyway, so I'll talk to you guys later. Your turn.
Right. So that has been the Snow Mexicans.
Mm-hmm.
The hosers strike back, eh?
Yes, eh?
You don't know the power of the Canuck side.
Yes, that too.
I can't sign off until we get the roar.
I always kind of feel like I'm spinning in a circle when I do that.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Yeah, I kind of